So the WNBA media absolutely has a problem. Absolutely has a problem. And Rachel Demita calling it out is the right thing. Obviously, look, Rachel Demita, I mean this. Rachel Demita could say the sky is blue and they would call her out for sometimes in the morning, the sky is red. She could say the grass is green and they could point out that in some countries, due to the weather and certain situations, the grass might be a different color. I don't fucking know. Or maybe the grass is green and some people like myself are colorblind and can't see that. I don't know. But they would find anything. I mean anything. It's like she has a podcast, the same initials as CC as starts in the league. She made the podcast same time Caitlin Clark got in the league. If you think Rachel Demita started the Courtside Club because of Caitlin Clark, you don't know who Rachel Demita is. I'm not joking when I say this. There was a time where outside of Caitlin Clark, Sabrina Ionescu, outside, let's just say the top 10 players that have kind of transcended the WNBA. We all know who they are. She was more famous than all of them. Outside of the top 10. I'm not going to go that far. It was not. I'm not crazy. But like Rachel Demita was one of the faces of, she was the most famous person in basketball media, in basketball social media, at a time when Duke Dennis, Agent 00, the AMP guys were all in that community. When Jimmy High Roller existed, Mike Corzembo, when all of those guys existed, they were all there. And a young BBALL Daily pulling in 1 million views every like fourth video. Where did that go? But do you think that Rachel Demita needs Caitlin Clark? Is crazy. It is crazy. It is genuinely crazy. But people don't know who Rachel Demita is. And she's getting attacked for all this, being like, what's her content created on? Everybody's just glazing. She speaks to glazing Caitlin Clark on the same podcast and saying Unrivaled isn't watched because fans don't care about Caitlin Clark as well. No, Unrivaled is not. People aren't watching Unrivaled. Nothing to do with fans not caring about Caitlin Clark. People aren't watching Unrivaled. And Rachel Demita said as much. Like, it's just not good to watch. The only reason you watch this gimmick ball 3-on-3 is if there's players you want to watch. And it's only when they're playing against each other. I'm okay with watching Paige Bueckers play Kelsey Plum because Kelsey Plum's going to try go at Paige Bueckers. The player that kept Unrivaled relevant last year was Angel Reese. Why? Because Angel Reese was literally every game they won, she was going out taunting people. Angel Reese got Nafisa Collier to clap back and like start shouting at her after they won. Like when you get Fee to be like that, you've gotten under people's skins. Angel, like everyone in Unrivaled now, you look at Unrivaled and it's all about, oh, this buddy. Look at all these players on 4 different teams that aren't playing. One player from each team is there watching the games. But Angel Reese wanted all the other teams to hate her. Like, that's the only way this type of gimmick ball can be interesting is if there's storylines, is if players fucking, and I don't mean hate each other personally, because that's one of those weird things in WNBA media, is people think that heated rivalries equal personal hatred. It's not. Heated rivalries are good. And I'm not talking about the bullshit Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark rivalry. I'm talking about the Caitlin Clark versus JC Sheldon rivalry. Those who fucking hate each other. They hate each other. And I can guarantee you it's one of those situations that if JC Sheldon ever ends up on a team with Caitlin Clark, JC Sheldon is going to be the Sophie Cunningham type, the Lexi Hull type, who does all the dirty work for Caitlin Clark and will become such a vital, important part. Anyone who knows basketball knows that's what type of player JC Sheldon is. But Caitlin Clark's played against JC Sheldon. JC Sheldon's job has been to get in Caitlin Clark's head for her whole fucking career in college and the pros. So it's like, no, what they do hate each other. And it's not like it's some like deep personal hatred of them as people. It's fucking, the Ohio State-Iowa rivalry was so bad that like Caitlin Clark stole a t-shirt from the fans. I can't remember what it was, wore it and posed in it and posted it on social media. Like, those type of rivalries are good for the sport. And I tweeted out this, and I mean this. People have stopped glazing players. And this all comes from the Unrivaled commentary. If you listen to the commentary, the Breeze, I think, played the Hive, and Paige Bueckers sat on the bench. And I think, was it Cam Brink or Kate Martin was playing the 1? balling. Cam Brink was hooping. Their whole team had more than 10 points. And they went on a run with Paige Bueckers on the bench. Do you know how many people that are on the floor got mentioned in color commentary other than X player for 2, where they get the rebound? 1. They mentioned Malonga's length. And they only mentioned Malonga because they wanted to talk about how Paige Bueckers called Malonga cheat code and how Paige Bueckers is getting assist to Malonga. Kate Martin, they didn't mention anything about Kate Martin. They just said she scored. They literally, Paige is on the bench and they're glazing Paige. We literally heard them imply Paige Bueckers is the reincarnation of fucking Kawhi on defense. Because Candace Parker was like, you're acting like Paige is like Kawhi. And they're like, is she not a two-way player? It's like if you want to say a loose definition of two-way player is competent on both ends, then we're talking about Christy Wallace as a two-way player at times. We're talking about fucking Dejanay, who shoots 25% on layups, being a two-way player. If you want to call Paige a two-way player, and by the way, can we stop pretending that there's equal weight on offense and defense in basketball on an individual level? If you are an offensive player, to the level of a Paige Bueckers, of a Caitlin Clark, as a guard. As a big, it's different because you can be a rim protector. But as a guard, if you are an offensive level player at that level, why the fuck would you be guarding the other team's best player? That's just dumb. That's just dumb. Maybe in Game 7 of the finals you do that. But that's just dumb. There's a reason why in 2016 LeBron was guarding Harrison fucking Barnes. Because you needed him to drop 40. We can't tire you out even guarding Iguodala. You can't tire him out doing that shit. There's a reason why Paige Bueckers, even in Unrivaled, guards the other team's worst offensive player. Because you don't want to tire her out. Like, it is the dumbest shit ever. That, like, the expectation on these offensive players. Paige is a mediocre defender, and that's fine. Because at the end of the day, by the end of her career, if Paige Bueckers ends up being... I do project Paige Bueckers to be one of the 3 best offensive players in the sport. And the second best offensive guard in the sport after Caitlin Clark. I think Caitlin's going to be better than Paige. I actually think Paige Bueckers is more skilled than Caitlin Clark. Wow, crazy statement, but basketball means more than hezzy tween. The ability to pull up and having less weaknesses as a player. Caitlin Clark can't shoot going right, can't drive going left. It doesn't fucking matter. They can't stop it. Giannis can't shoot. They couldn't stop him. Shaq couldn't shoot. They can't stop him. It doesn't matter if people know the scout report. If you can't do anything about it, especially when you have an Aaliyah Boston on your team and a Kelsey Mitchell on your team who are going to feed off them trying to take away your game, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, people all think it's like, oh, if you're a Caitlin Clark fan, you're saying everything's perfect. You guys don't understand how many crash outs I have had when Caitlin Clark doesn't touch the ball for a few possessions. And please, Steph White, stop pretending she's fucking Stephen Curry. She is nothing like Stephen Curry. She is Tyrese Halliburton. She's Magic Johnson with a jump shot. She is, and she's not even heliocentric. She is an offensive engine. She gets everyone involved. She literally is a fast break, push the tempo. Caitlin Clark affects the tempo of the game, and that's her best asset. Her best asset is what she does to the game. Nothing to do with what she does. Nothing to do with her passing, nothing to do with her shooting. Her best asset is how she affects the game. Teams have to guard higher because they're scared of the deep three. Teams can't offensive rebound because they know if they go for an offensive rebound, Caitlin Clark's getting the ball, there's runners, ball's there, it's a layup. Caitlin Clark's effect on the totality of the game is more important than anything she does with the ball in her hands. And especially with the ball not in her hands. Teams literally don't want Caitlin Clark on the ball. They say, we don't want Caitlin Clark to have the ball in her hands. Her own coach is probably the only her own coach literally achieves the other team's game plans for them. I hope she doesn't do that going into this year. Please stop with the Curry bullshit. The Warriors can't even win with it anymore. And you don't have Draymond, you don't have Clay. Stop with the bullshit, Steph, please. But the problem is that Caitlin Clark, one big flaw, as much as I say that, when Caitlin Clark doesn't touch the ball for a while, she chucks bad shots. I get so pissed at frustration shots she takes, which she shoots at about 10%. Watch it. If Caitlin Clark is told to go stand in the corner, 3, 4, 5 possessions where she doesn't touch the ball because she never touches the ball when she goes stands in the corner. The next time she touches the ball, she's going to do some bullshit. She's going to chuck a terrible shot, go nowhere near in, or she's going to chuck the worst pass ever. And it's going to be a lot. It's going to be so bad, it'll be 10 feet over somebody's head. When Caitlin Clark is frustrated, she does dumb shit. It is what it is. Players have weaknesses. Breanna Steward, as I've said plenty of times, is literally... People to say Breanna Steward, she's a unicorn. I'm literally hearing the Unrivaled commentators. Breanna Stewart's a unicorn. She can do everything. She has no flaws. Like, oh, Breanna Stewart's such a good shooter. Breanna Steward, since 2023, has been statistically the worst high volume 3-point shooter in the history of the NBA or the WNBA over that large of a sample size. She shoots like 25% from 3 on volume. It's scary how bad at shooting she is. Angel Wilson, everyone talks about her fadeaway, which she shoots at a fucking 30% clip. She's like 70% at the rim, but she settles for more fadeaways. It's dumb as shit. But that doesn't mean doesn't do everything else well in basketball. It doesn't mean Stewie, we saw what she did in the playoffs, nearly willed them to the second round against the Mercury. We saw Angel Wilson have one of the greatest individual seasons of all time, back to back. It doesn't mean these players are perfect. No player is perfect in this league. Ironically, the closest thing we might ever get to there's Fee. It's hard to find a flaw in Fee. But I don't think Fee, other than I think Fee in a different system might be different. But ironically, the closest thing we have to a perfect player as a prospect is Sarah Strong. And in my opinion, I think you can argue that of all the players I've mentioned, none of them, Aaliyah Boston's better than none of them, but Aaliyah Boston has less flaws. She has less flaws in every one of those players. We don't judge basketball by who has the least flaws. We judge basketball by fucking wins, losses, and we also judge basketball by the emotion. This sport is entertainment at the end of the day. We judge it by the emotion. We judge it by the style of play. We judge it by who we want to watch. Nobody wants to watch paint dry. Nobody wants to watch boring basketball. That is always taken into account. Always. Always. There's a reason why people were pushing Jazz to face of the league 3 or 4 years ago before all the gun shit. There's a reason why people were hyping Zion. Were these ever serial winners? No. No, were they ever going to be serial winners? No. But there is an entertainment factor to it. There's an entertainment factor to sport. And at the end of the day, are we going to start treating women's basketball like it's basketball? The answer is no. The answer is no. Because the vast majority of people in the media are too scared. And by the way, they're okay. And it's not even, when it comes to Caitlin Clark, the criticism is never real about Caitlin Clark. Because I've not heard one person in the WNBA media give the main criticism of Caitlin Clark. And it's the worst thing that she does. And it's not about a whole bunch of shots. Caitlin Clark needs the ball. Like, she is and some people are like, oh, she's this great off-the-ball player. No, she's not. Not at the pro level. They're like, oh, she did at Iowa. Yeah, playing fucking college players. Have you not seen the amount of time she just left open off those screens? That shit's not happening in the WNBA. You can run the occasional quick hitter for Caitlin. She is not a good off-the-ball player. She doesn't have good feel off the ball. She doesn't cut very well. She doesn't see openings off the ball. She doesn't screen very well. She's a terrible off-the-ball player. If you put Caitlin Clark off the ball, she gets pissed off and she starts doing dumb shit when she gets the ball. Because she seldomly gets the ball. She feels like she has to, it's 3 minutes into the quarter, I've touched the ball once. I have 0 assists, 0 points. Nothing's happening in our offense. Shit, I've got to go do something. And she normally does something dumb. When Caitlin's playing in the flow of the game and she's able to get the ball off a rebound, make decisions left, right, she's able to drive in, kick the shooters, she's able to hit Aaliyah on the short roll, and then sometimes cuts okay off Aaliyah, goes left, takes 2 players in, kicks it to Kelsey Mitchell on a backdoor cut. If she hits Aaliyah on the short roll, Aaliyah goes, kicks it into Kelsey Mitchell, it's a layup, and the team's flowing. That's where Caitlin's good. And that's where, if you watch Caitlin Clark's box scores, and I mean this, Caitlin, I've never seen, you know the way we have one of these we've heard about players that score in bunches, where they they'll score 10 points and then be quiet for a quarter. And everyone talks about that with Caitlin Clark. It's sometimes she'll just heat up. She's a player who scores in bunches. I've never seen anything like it with Caitlin Clark. She is literally a player who does everything in bunches. You will see, there might be an 8-minute stretch of a game where every single point is either scored or assisted by Caitlin Clark for the Fever. There might be I can't remember what game it was. There was a 15-minute stretch. It was the Phoenix Mercury game, the first game they won. There was literally a 10-minute stretch where Caitlin Clark, they went from down 10 to up 15. Bar 2 points, which was a hockey assist, every other basket was scored or assisted by Caitlin Clark on a 25-point swing. And the other one was a hockey assist. And no one will ever mention that. But no one will ever mention the real flaws with Caitlyn. It's, oh, Caitlyn gets this coverage. Are Caitlyn's fans racist? Like, can we just stop this shit? If you want, like, there's so many things to criticize Caitlyn about, just like there's things to criticize Paige about. Paige Bueckers is a bang average on-ball defender, if not slightly below average. Really quick hands, really good in passing lanes, but she is at best a net neutral on defense. Maybe slightly negative. I will go slightly above negative because what she can do off the ball. But, like, you've got that. Why is it that people are unable to actually evaluate players? Like Angel Reese. Apparently it's racist that Angel Reese can't score layups. Angel Reese does so much good shit on the floor. Everyone being like, oh, you're just an Angel hater. I personally think Angel Reese is worth trading the number one overall pick for. That's how high I rate Angel Reese as a player. I think if you are Dallas and the holdup is Easy Foot or Angel Reese. Newsflash, Angel Reese is like 2 months older than Easy Foot. Angel Reese is going to be a better player than Easy Foot. You make that trade. Unless you fully believe in our fam, you make that trade if it's on the table. Absolutely. Because the Sky, they're going to fuck up whatever the pick is. But at the end of the day, and Sky are going to take Olivia Miles to get that pick. At the end of the day, we have to be able to talk about basketball. We have to be able to criticize players when criticism's due. We have to be allowed to criticize coaches. And it's this really weird thing where it's like, oh, Fever fans have to love every single thing Stephanie White has done. It's like everyone being like to me, like, oh, you're a Steph hater. It's like, yeah, I hate the style of basketball she wants to play. I fully believe that in the playoffs, the reason why the Fever were so good was because she said it herself. They didn't do anything. They winged it. They played read and react. They didn't run the bullshit motion offense from 2002 that she thinks is going to work. She thinks it seems the fucking Tim Duncan Spurs. That doesn't mean that Steph White did not do an incredible job last year. She did an incredible job. But you can say there are philosophical flaws for the players that she has. We're allowed to say that. We are allowed to criticize. We are allowed to say that Tyler Marsh is a great developmental coach. We've seen it from the Aces. The man can't be a head coach for shit. We're allowed to say that. We have to be allowed to actually discuss things. And we can be wrong. We can be so wrong, by the way. I thought Kiki Iriafen was going to suck. I was so wrong. And that's fine. That is basketball takes. That is basketball media. We're allowed to be right. We're allowed to be wrong. We're allowed to be wrong. You can, again, off the top of my head, again, Kiki was the prime example. Because I saw what Kiki did at USC and I did not like what I saw from Kiki. But Kiki immediately became better. And by the way, Kiki Iriafen was not going to start for the Washington Mystics until Aaliyah Edwards and Shakira Austin got injured. I was like, yeah, was it? Or was it just Aaliyah? I think it was both of them got injured. It wasn't looking like she was going to start for the Mystics start the year and then got in and did great. The amount of people attacking Rachel Demita for an obvious statement, being like, oh, the irony is amazing. Bold idea coming first, got fired from a gig because she couldn't stop obsessing over the player. She tweeted about Caitlin Clark and got fired from Big Three. Okay. The Big Three wanted, Big Three took away every mention of Caitlin Clark. They were trying to use Caitlin Clark for any hype. And at the end of the day, if it was in the Big Three contract, Big Three are allowed to fire and hire whoever they want. It's sports media. It is one of the hardest things to get into. And look, she's never been an ally for the players. What do you mean an ally for the players? I want to watch basketball. We're not fucking allies. We're not allies. I want the players to get paid as much as possible. But I want basketball more than I want the players to get paid an extra. Because, by the way, this is over a max contract. This is all over, basically, a max contract within a $200,000 range. I would rather the players get paid an average of $500K each and a season happen than players not get paid nothing at all, have no season, because they're trying to bump it up to an average of $600,000 each. Is that a crazy statement to make? Because at the end of the day, if there's no basketball, there's no money. Because Unrivaled is just dog shit. Where are we allowed to say that? Unrivaled's gimmick ball. The only thing the commentators keep talking about is, oh, look at they're working out. This is a great league. It's like, I'm sorry. If Unrivaled is only meant to be basically a summer camp for these players and training camp, then TNT, dear Lord, they fucked up. they fucked up with that TV deal if it's not meant to be a basketball league. And that's the weirdest thing is like, we're all supposed, it seems like if you're in this league for the basketball, something's wrong with you. Or there's something wrong because you have to be like, fighting for social justice. And people literally, I literally said, I tweeted out being like, Caitlin Clark might indirectly cause the end of WNBA. Because why? Because Caitlin Clark's viewership boom gives the players more leverage in CBA negotiations. The owners still don't take the players seriously, and that could cause a lockout. If there's a lockout, the league's done. Like, and people are like, oh, you're like pro owners. Like, no, I'm talking about it from a fact. I literally just made a statement. I'm not pro anybody. I'm pro basketball. And the thing is, if you are pro basketball, and by the way, we've heard Angel Reese, we've heard Kelsey Plum, we've heard Caitlin Clark, we've heard Neko Nwumeke, we've heard all of these players basically say we need to play basketball. And you're hearing it in some of the way they're talking. They are panicking a bit. And I can't remember, there was an owner he was like a former owner or like a guy worked behind the scenes or CEO or something of an MLB team that basically has said the players have tied themselves down to this weird CBA being transformational, that if they don't get everything they want in this CBA, they think they failed, instead of trying to gradually work it up. And at the end of the day, what do I want? I want basketball. I want basketball. Unrivaled's not basketball. Project B is not going to be basketball. Do you know who wins? Do you know AU? People talk about AU. Do you know that there's no team that wins? A player wins AU. Last year, AU, the winner of AU was not a team. It was Maddie Siegrist. Like, what the fuck, man? The year before, it was Alyssa Smith won AU. Like, come on. Can none of these off-season WNBA leagues not be gimmicks? Like, is that too much to ask? People are like, oh, you made a video hating on Unrivaled because you're just a hater because Caitlin's not playing. Entire video explaining. I'm like, this is just a fucking gimmick ball league. I don't give a shit who's playing. I actually don't give a shit. It's one of those crazy things where it's like, and the weirdest thing is that unless you are Candace Parker, you are never, who is one of the greatest of all time, you have to be. You have to glaze other players. And does anyone else not think it's really weird that Renee Montgomery she is an owner of the Atlanta Dream, and she is non-stop on TV, on commentary, glazing players on other teams? I'm sorry. I'm as a fan of a team. Like, I don't want to ever get into the actual media because I'm going to overrate the fuck out of a lot of players I'm fans of when I'm talking about the game. We all do. We all overrate players we're fans of. But like, imagine underrating your own players, that you're a part owner of a team. Imagine ignoring what Ryan Howard, Alicia Gray are doing in the media just so you can pretend, who, by the way, are both two-way players, just so you can glaze Paige Bueckers by lying about her. Imagine doing that. But anyway, yeah, it's just ridiculous. Rachel Demita made a very obvious statement. A very obvious statement that the media can't be on, like, basically, the media can't stop glazing players. Because if you listen to commentary, I'm telling you, watch every one of the Breeze games. Outside, like, the only time they will ever talk about another player on the Breeze is, like, when they're talking about Paige. They'll talk about Malonga, but only in the context of how she's a cheat code for Paige and how she'll help Paige. It's actually hilarious. It is hilarious. It is one of the funniest things ever. Like, the only time I've ever talked about it is in the context of Paige. It is weird. It's genuinely weird. And it's not like that for any other team. Like, the commentators are good with every other player. It's like it's a fucking cult where they have to... And by the way, I think Paige Bueckers frustrates the heck out of me because I don't think she's playing up to her ability right now. And I don't think she has played up to her ability since going into WNBA. I think she's better than she's shown. But at the end of the day, like, it literally seems like it's a cult, the WNBA media, and it is the cult. It seems like it's the cult of Paige because no one talks about AJ anymore, by the way. I can't wait. AJ, can you go out and put a delayed, not denied shit about Paige Bueckers because they're ignoring your season just so they can shit on Caitlin Clark and promote Paige. It was never about basketball for these people, by the way. But anyway, yeah, I'll see you guys.